Welcome to another episode of Make Mental Health Matter. If this happens to be your first time watching, my name is Kelli Melissa Reinhart. I am your host, and I am very excited to have my guest who has been on the show before come back. But if you haven't seen this, if you haven't watched before, welcome. And if you happen to be watching it on YouTube, make sure there's a subscribe button somewhere around there. Go ahead and click on that so that you don't miss another episode. If you happen to be watching on any of the streaming platforms like E360 TV, Apple, Fire, Roku, Amazon, whatever it happens to be, make sure you add this into your watch list, your want to watch later list, your favorites list, whatever list that is. Just put it in there because I promise you, every single guest that I have on is simply incredible. And I want to just share a quick couple things before I bring my guest up for tonight. I am going to be shifting the show a little bit in the next year. I've been doing Mondays at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. However, I am going to go down to one show per week. It is a lot to do 2 TV shows live in a week. So I'm going to go back to Mondays only because it's all about mental health Mondays. I don't know. So just going back to Mondays, but I'm not sure exactly the time yet. Once I figure that out, which will be by next Monday, I will let you know exactly so that you don't miss any other episodes, because if you're subscribed, you won't miss them. You'll know when I go live. Okay, that's enough. I am going to bring up my incredible guest back again. Crystal, thank you so much for joining me again.
Thanks for having me again. I'm very
Oh
happy to be
no. Yeah. Of course. I thought you were muted at first, but I heard you, so you're good.
here. Okay, good.
Yes. So I am curious because now you're coming back. When you came on last time, it was before you went on this TEDx stage. We shared a little bit of information about what your TEDx topic was going to be, and now you have completed it. It's been over a month, which is, I don't know, it just feels like it went by so fast. So I'm curious, like, how are you feeling now that you have been on stage?
I've been watching my videos, which came out like 2 weeks ago, luckily. So I'm very thrilled. And like you said, I don't know how all that time went by, like already more than a month. I still reliving the moment bits by bits, and it's still surreal that I did it. It was a very incredible experience, to say the least. But
Yeah.
I'm definitely relieved, and I'm actually very proud of myself that I didn't like stop and my mind went blank or anything, and we actually all did it. We did really beautifully. So we really did a good job.
Yeah, it was. I remember, I mean, I know being backstage, we're all kind of like, ah, what am I doing? Why? Like, I was curling my hair more because I thought it wasn't good enough. And we all kind of, and then once we stepped on stage and stepped off, we're like, wow, okay, that was
But it was
awesome.
really hard to wait,
Mm.
right? I mean, we were in the afternoon, so I was the 15th speaker, and you were like 16 or 17. Were you right behind me?
Yeah, I was, I think,
Lisa was right
two.
behind me.
Okay. Yeah,
Right.
I must have, I think I was in front of you. I
Oh,
can't
okay.
remember where. I was like smack dab in the middle, pretty much.
Okay. Oh my God. It was really, really hard to wait.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, like I keep talking about everybody, waiting was the hardest part actually. But once we got on the stage, like we all say to each other, I don't remember the rest. Once I said the first sentence and it just came out, it was like an out of body experience. But it was definitely though, I feel like I evolved through the whole TEDx journey, preparing and rewriting the script like more than 100 times, and practicing and like practicing like 10 times a day, like 3 times in the morning, afternoon, and at night, and even at the gym, wherever I go. And then now, if someone asks me if I remember anything, I don't know. I remember parts of it, but yeah, I mean, definitely. Do I want to really go back to that moment? Not really. Right. Yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely it's one of those like I mean, sometimes people do more, but it feels like one of those once in a lifetime things.
definitely, definitely. But we did really good.
Yeah, yes, you did also. And it was just, I mean, I know even from the first training that we did, you had a lot of questions and it felt like you were very uncomfortable and unsure. And then by the time you stepped on that stage, and even now, I am just blown away by how much your confidence has come out also.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was actually the day before the workshop that we had, the first workshop, and I live in Texas, so I was attending via Zoom. I moved to a new place, and now I'm on another new place. So I moved already twice in like 4 months period of time. But I was going through something personally, and just for the TEDx workshop, I had to kind of move on from a relationship actually. So I really had to make sure that I focus on only on TED Talk. And but yeah, everything worked out beautifully, and definitely it was an experience that I actually miss all, our friends. And
Yeah.
it's so bad that, it's kind of not nice that I'm far away, but we still kind of talk to each other via WhatsApp and everything. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's I love that we still have that group open.
Connection.
I mean, I don't think it'll ever close, but and of course we're all well, some of us are still, including myself, are waiting for our videos to come out, but
Right.
I really truly hope that we keep that WhatsApp going forever just because
Definitely.
it's definitely this bond that you can't understand until you're actually part of it. So,
Exactly, exactly. And I was kind of tagging along with your family because I literally like all my family is in Korea, and my friends are here. So somebody offered to come and see me from Korea. Like, no, 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 just stay there, just watch me on live, or and when the video comes out. But I really felt like alone, not knowing anybody, and but then like bonding with you and other speakers, it was definitely I mean, it was very, very, very comforting. By the like only like 2 days, like just like everything changed. But the day that I landed there and we had dinner together, like I was like breaking down. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. It
yeah.
was hard. Yeah.
There's so many emotions that happen, and I think a lot of people, I mean, I know for me because I had applied 3 other times, or this was my 3rd time I applied.
Oh, wow.
So, it was when I finally got it, I was like, "Wait, is this true?" Right? And then you go into the process and it's just a whole other level of what you're really stepping into, and I even had those moments of like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Because I spoke about something that was outside my comfort zone. And so it is it. And then you have this bond with these incredible women, and not realizing that there's 18 of us that
Mhm.
actually got on the stage and spoke. And I love the fact that you were able to like hang out with me and my family. And I remember even towards the end, like you said, thank you so much because you were kind of feeding off my energy of like knowing where
Exactly.
that
Right.
location before. So,
Right. And then you said that you have volunteered already for that, TEDx Cherry Creek for Daphna and Michael. I mean, like, sometimes some speakers are like really nervous, and I'm already nervous, and being next to them doesn't really help me. But I know that you are like nervous like everybody else, but you're really familiar with the place, and then you kind of know the process. So I was actually following you intentionally because like I really liked your energy and your like chill, the vibe. So I was like, okay, so that really helped me. That's true. Yeah, it really, I really, again, I cannot thank you enough.
yeah, of course. Well, I'm just glad that I could help you in that way. I
You
didn't even
do it.
realize
You
till you
do
said something. So,
it. You did. Yeah.
And I want you and those people that didn't watch when you were on last time, please tell everybody what you do specifically.
At my job, right?
Yeah.
So I'm an internationally patented author. So I published 16 books based on machine learning method, and I'm a language expert teaching English to Asian populations. And I also help native speakers, English teachers in America, help them understand. And I also help Asian populations to understand both, Asian students and English educators to understand the hidden process of acquiring the English language. So I talk about in my TED talk that it's really crucial to break away from the typical language instruction to uh, promote to foster social, cultural, and racial inclusivity, especially with the technological advancements. So I just want to increase language awareness instead of just focusing on the target language, which is English, even without the basics and the fundamentals of it. And
Yeah.
but I talk about the hidden process that is missing everywhere.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, of course, um I speak English. I always have spoken English. The only other language I took French in high school because it was a requirement, and I probably
Me
remembered.
too. Me too. Yeah, I learned French and forgot everything.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like I know maybe like two or three sentences. That's about all.
Right. It helped when I babysat this French family. So I was taking care of this little baby. So I remember like bisous, je t'aime, assieds-toi, like say correctly, assieds-toi correctement or something. So those like basic words. But other than that, I forgot all the conjugations and oh my gosh, they have feminine and masculine for each every word. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very, very complicated, to learn a different language, definitely.
So was it on that note, was it easier for you to learn English than any other, like, I mean, French was, or what other languages have you tried
Oh,
to learn?
so I have a background. My dad was involved in teaching English educational business for a long time. So thanks to my father's influence, I got to learn English early on. So I was able to visit, to LA, staying at a university dormitory for like short-term language course. So I mean, like, yeah, I had an early, head start compared to other people. So I was very confident, but I also learned since I'm from Korea, Koreans learn Japanese really easy because we have the exact same grammar structure. So Chinese, but people think that all Asian language is the same, but it's not. I mean, Chinese language is like a Latin for Asian people.
Wow.
So like if you understand English, pretty much you can understand a little bit of Spanish and French, like just like that. But Chinese have the grammar structure of just like English.
Mm.
So Korean and Japanese, we say I subject marker, you object marker, love. So we have a very like completely opposite grammar structure. So yeah, I speak a little bit of Japanese and I understand a lot of Japanese words. But I also learned French a little bit, and I have so like Chinese is just like some words, and I listen to like Spanish like ¿Qué pasó? ¿Está bien? Todo fino. I mean, those things I know like just by the sounds of it, but
Mm.
I don't have any deeper knowledge. But I still struggle with English. I mean, people say, "Oh, you speak good English." Well, I've been here in the States for 27 years. I graduated from college, but I still struggle because I'm not satisfied, you
Mm.
know, I'm not because I actually want to be a writer. And just because you speak English doesn't mean that everyone know how to write. It's the same thing, but I'm a foreigner. So I actually want to know how to communicate on a meaningful level, not anything ordinary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
That is, I mean, so I have a question about that, but I was going to also say, I worked in the restaurant business for a really long time, and we had a lot of Spanish speaking people in the kitchen, and they tried to teach me Spanish, and it didn't work out so well for me. I can't roll my R's at all whatsoever. And they thought it was the funniest thing because they're like, no, you say it like this. And I'm like, I really like, I'm like, da, 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 like I can't roll my R's.
Right.
Um,
That's because in English you don't have that sound.
no,
No, exactly.
yeah, that's why my son, they started teaching them Spanish in like pre preschool, which
Okay.
I thought was really cool because kids, their brains are so moldable that
Exactly.
it's definitely a great time to start.
Right.
Um so I am curious, and I know this was something that we started talking about the last time you were
Mhm.
here, but
Mhm.
really this aspect of you don't feel like you have the English down well enough, but also the mental health, like the backside kind of non-English speaking people, and then kind of like that mental health aspect. I know that you are very passionate around that too.
Right. So, like I said, people praise, "Oh my God, you speak good English. You understand everything. You have no problem living in the States." But the thing is, when you are like married and you have a kid, doesn't matter what language you speak, you have problems, right? You love each other, you have kids though, things happen. And just because you have people around you doesn't mean that you don't feel lonely. So everybody goes through that. Um, my son is biracial. He's half Jewish, half Korean. And I met my ex-husband, back in college. But when I came to America, I had high hopes for my life, right? But as we moved around, because my ex was an academic, we never choose where we want to go. But that job process, getting a job, academic job, it was atrocious. It takes up to 8 months, and for one position, it's like 200 to 1 ratio. So it was excruciating. The future was constantly uncertain. But my whole goal was my ex-husband getting a tenure job. So
Mhm.
when I turned 31-ish, he got very lucky and he landed a job in UC San Francisco, like one of the best medical schools in the world. But living in the most beautiful place, I felt like hopeless and lonely because surrounded by all these doctors, they are all doctors, right? And then hanging out with them at a restaurant with the Golden Gate Bridge, everything, and have a beautiful sun, and we live in a nice place, only a mile away from the Highway 1. I looked like I had everything, but deep down, I've struggled a sense of inadequacy because I was not satisfied with my life because I love my son, but in my mind, I came to this country to do something and help other people with my skills. And I was just a housewife. So to fill my void, I exercise like crazy, like obsessively. So I ran like 6 miles along the highway one. And then I went to the gym every day and spent like 4 hours, but that didn't make me feel good because being around those smart people, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? So it was very painful because I felt like being a mom. And do we have to go to break?
Nope, you're good. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, just let me know. So you can cut me up anytime. So yeah, so I felt like being a mom, and I wanted to be a writer, but having a young son who was only like first grade in elementary school, I felt like I'm not going to be able to achieve what I wanted. And looking at those doctors and smart people, only thing I know that I'm a high achiever. I said if I was born in this country, or if I knew better English knowledge, maybe I would be one of them. That's what I was thinking. So just like every day I was beating myself up. I hated myself. I was really frustrated. And I really try to do my best. Like people say, if you want to get better in English, write better, just read as much as possible. But no matter what I did, nothing really helped. So I felt like stuck, with the levels of writing skills. So I felt like, okay, something's wrong with me. Nothing's really happening. And I just keep comparing myself to my ex-husband. And looking at my son, I'm like, oh, I have to be a mom. I can't just go and study, all day long and do something about my life. So I felt really like trapped. So beneath the surface, like my resentment, my frustration, and everything was just brewing. And I had a frequent outburst, and that really wasn't really helping. It was really damaging my relationships with my family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that was and no worries about we go to the break whenever we want to. So, yeah, no, that definitely is it's more of a challenge, I think, around just women and moms and housewives, right? So
right.
definitely a good conversation. So we'll go to our quick sponsored break. We'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about that, because I think that's a great topic to talk about. And I think it's something that a lot of women may or may not experience. So just understanding a little bit deeper of that in general, I think would be great. So we'll be right back after this quick sponsored break.
Hi, I'm Julie Jones Hamilton, and my partner, Lynn Kitchen, and I co host World's Greatest Motivators every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific on the Achieve channel. Come join us and the best thought leaders in the planet today, right here at E360 TV.
And like that, we're back. I don't know why that commercial cuts off right as she's
Oh,
like,
you're back already.
we are, yes. It's a short, a mini break. If you happen to be just joining us, thank you so much. And if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you click down the subscribe button so that you don't miss another episode. If you're watching from any of the streaming platforms, make sure you put us into your wish, your watch, your want to watch later list, whatever that happens to be. But I am talking to my guest, Crystal, who I had the pleasure of being on the TEDx stage with her. And she was here before she went on TEDx, sharing a little bit about her, what she was going to be talking about. And what we have been talking about is really this, it's not an idea, but these feelings that happen to come up for women, for mothers, around how we're supposed to, I don't know, like be a mom, right? Like what that housewife um label means, but also adding this extra layer of not being or feeling like your English is fully fluent like you want it to be. So I understand it from the mom perspective, but I've never had to add that extra layer of being around, like you were saying, these professors, these doctors, and then feeling like you aren't able to speak or write the language that they are. And then you feel really, really stuck because you are seeing your son and you know you have to take care of him, but you also want to, because the reason you came to this country was to do something incredible. And
Exactly.
so tell me a little bit more about this journey and like how it kind of shaped up or shaped. Yeah, that's the right
Yeah.
word.
Right. So before I moved to San Francisco, my ex-husband had to complete his PhD program. So we lived in Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, like 3.5 hours away from Chicago. It's like central Illinois. So it was like a cornfield and soybeans everywhere, cows you see sometimes, but it's like a very, very like close-knit university campus town. So you see a lot of people from like Argentina, India, China, Korea, Japan, everywhere, international students. And I happen to hang out with a lot of Korean families, and the fathers, they are like either visiting professors or the grad students. So, we all have young families, and I wanted to teach my son Korean. So I would hang out with them, after we attend the story time at the library. We kind of hang out at some Korean mom's house, have like potluck, every other day, hang out, learn, have my son interact with other Korean kids. And these people are very highly educated, and I had to help them like at the bank, hospital, teachers conference, and it's not that they don't know anything. They have like high, uh, like advanced skills of vocabulary and grammar. It's just when they speak, native speakers are not able to understand them. So they get really conscious, and they're very proud people, right? So they don't want to say anything anymore. So then just vicious cycle. They never learn. So just observing them and helping them, I realized that, this is not right. They spend like at least 10 years plus learning English when they were going through school. And why is it that they're not even able to communicate? But then they're like, oh, your English is so good. I envy you, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, yeah, okay. But I cannot say anything. I'm not happy with myself. And so when then in San Francisco, me going through all this process, I was seeing a therapist, and she said that, you're not gonna just get what you want right away. So you gotta make plans, strategic plans. If you want something, you gotta work on it step by step. So then I said, okay. So I was just gonna read more books and newspapers. And one day I talk about in my talk, I discovered a very specific pattern of English phrases and like make suggestions. So when you really think about it, when you say make suggestions, you're like manufacturing suggestions. That's how it sounds like when as a Korean speaker, because we say do suggestions because it's an act. So then so instead of suggest, make suggestions sound so odd. And then it's not just how it sounds, it's like it was the concept. And then I realized, you know what? There's expression like make friends. And then I Googled, and there's like tons of expressions like filling my screen. And then like I was really excited. Oh my God, okay, this is what I did not know. No wonder why. I know all these words. It's just Americans, they just have a weird way of combining two words that Koreans wouldn't necessarily use it. Oh, this is it. And then I got enraged because why didn't I learn this concept early on when I was in school or any ESL teachers anywhere? Why? So then I started thinking about the Koreans that I helped back in Illinois. Then I told my dad, who founded a company teaching English, franchise company all over in Korea. I said, Dad, we need to change the way things are taught, English is taught. And we need a very systematic program to change everything. I want to change this industry. This is not right. So then I start writing the word combination and then sentence structure and pronunciation. So that's how it started. But it all started from the concept that I realized that I did not know that existed. So in other words, what I'm saying is people don't know what they don't know. And then I'm telling Americans that whatever you think it is natural, it does not exist in other languages. So just saying like, oh, don't worry about it, immerse yourself, make friends with Americans, just learn naturally. It's not about me telling you, what I came up with, my program is good or bad. It's not that. First, I am raising awareness. Just forget what you think you know how to learn a new language. Whenever people say learn things naturally and just directly engaging in a conversation with native speakers will help you. And it's a mysterious process. So just embrace it. That thing does not, that actually, it works against you. So I am doing what my first thing, what I'm trying to do is raise awareness, saying that just break away from the, misconceptions that we think that's the best, ideal way to learn English. So I said there's no such thing as learning a language. 4-year-old kids, American kids, spend 35,040 hours practicing English. So when you say to any foreigners, oh, just immerse it, that does not work.
I've I've heard that about even going like when I was in French in high school. They're like, just go to France and immerse yourself in the language. And I was like, I don't know if I would even pick it up
I mean,
if I
you
was
may. I mean, that's better than nothing, but you spend so much money and time and effort. And I emphasize all the time, there's a difference between mimicking the sounds of, expressions versus understanding the actual concept. Because language, 6-year-old kids, they only talk within the range of 6,000 English words. So it's the creativity. Once you understand the concept, then you make expressions, right? So it's not we are relying on imitation or memorization when we speak, right? But when people say immerse yourself and just learn it, that's just it's mimicking like a parrot. So I keep emphasizing that you gotta really understand the fundamental concepts in order to develop, you
Yeah.
know.
That makes
But
so I mean that makes a lot of sense too. And I have a 8-year-old who asks me what certain words mean. And even I'm like, what does like I know what it is, but like how do I tell him what it is? Like how do I
right,
tell the meaning of it? And sometimes I have to go Google it because I'm like,
sure.
I know how to use this word
Right,
in the context, but like I don't actually know fully how to relay that to him in what it means. So,
right.
yeah.
I mean, do you think the Harvard doctors and the professors or Yale professors love to teach, kindergartners? I don't think so. It's the hardest thing ever, And I'm teaching my sister's daughter, so niece, right? Niece. She is so like she's like genius, right? But like and then like I teach her English, but then she has a hard time to understand art,
Mhm.
like hope. Those like very abstract word. It's a very short, they know how to pronounce it, but conceptually they don't really understand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's a very different. Yes, they like we were saying, their brains are like sponge, they absorb everything, but when it comes to understanding some concept, it's a two different things. But yeah, so it takes time for people to develop. Even when you're working out, if you never worked out before, if you want to lift something heavy, you hurt yourself because you don't have strong ligaments and tendons. So it takes at least 2 months for you to strengthen them, the connective tissues. Then your bones get stronger. Then you add muscles, right?
Mhm.
It has to be gradual. But like learning English, oh, just do it naturally. Oh, talk to Americans. No wonder why it doesn't, sustain. I mean, you don't develop. You just memorize and then you forget. You memorize and forget.
Yeah. And I think I mean, you said at one point that when people who it's not their first language, they speak and then it may not be criticism, but maybe are criticized about how they sound when they're speaking the language. And so they just don't talk anymore. And I mean, that's a huge aspect of why I mean people feel so uncomfortable.
Right. So the most disheartening things is that not because people make fun of it, but some mean people do. But pe- like immigrants or foreigners get misunderstood. So, for example, I lived in the 27 years and people think that, oh, you sound like a native speaker. Oh, thank you. But some people, like the listeners, because I teach English on the Dallas Korean Net on AM 7:30 every Monday. My listeners, they've lived here like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and they don't speak English. So they're very conscious, and then they feel like there's something's wrong with them. That's their mentality. And then the thing is, though, some people, like even Koreans, actually Korean Americans, think like, what is wrong with you? Or how come you didn't learn? Or how could you not know to put English words together? So maybe as a native speakers, I'm sure that sometimes I think of that too. I mean, how could you not really understand? I mean, what's the reason that you can't really understand these English words? Sometimes I ask like bluntly like that, but people get misunderstood that just putting easy words together and that's it. But like I said in my TED talk, when if I ask Korean people randomly, so how do you say train moving at a high speed and taking a shower in a very short time? Korean speakers, when they think about it, they say like they use the same adjective fast train, fast shower, because we don't differentiate fast and quick, right? So, but they've read quick shower somewhere, they've heard it, but if someone asks them right away, their existing cognitive structure is telling them say fast shower, because we don't have the concept that there's a difference between fast and quick. So no matter how you know easy these expressions seem to Americans, and they say, you don't know how to say quick shower. It's just not that. It's just we don't have the concept, and Koreans are not aware that we don't have the concept of this differentiated, you know, words. So I don't. I the another reason why I came to TED Talk is that I want to stop the misunderstandings and intolerance, because Koreans don't have the enough understanding of the English language, but also native speakers don't necessarily have the sufficient understanding of why they're struggling. And even us Koreans, we just say in Korean without really thinking. I think it's the same thing. Just because it seems natural to you, to Americans, doesn't mean that it's natural to us. So that's easy for you, but for us, we don't have that concept. So it's not a matter of like, oh, Koreans don't have the appropriate length of tongue or facial muscles moving or cognitive capability. It's not that. It's just nobody had been taught properly.
Mm-hmm.
Because I said in my talk, Korean people don't know what they don't know, and Americans don't know what they don't know either. So we gotta really raise awareness, and we really have to change the way things are taught and learned.
Yeah, I think so something that's popping up into my head, and this is I mean, it could be maybe a good way to look at it, but I think about, I mean, youth in general, right? The rational part of their brain is not fully developed. I mean, anybody is fully developed until 25 to 28 years old. So concepts can be hard without that part of your brain being fully developed. And if you think about, if you're talking to, like, say, my 8-year-old, where they don't quite understand the concepts either. And sometimes as a parent, we don't understand the concepts either. So if we kind of think of it as the way of talking to, and I've heard this before, is even when you're trying to explain something to anybody in general that maybe just doesn't understand what you're talking about, try to put it in the terms that you would for a child. I mean, it's not making them feel like they're stupid, or that's not the intention behind it, right? We're just trying to get the concept across and make sure that they fully understand and that you understand what you're telling them too. So maybe those of us that are native English speakers, when we do interact with somebody who it is not their first language, keep in mind that we're not wanting to talk to them as if they're like it's dumb or dumbing it down or anything of that nature. It's just that we need to understand like that concept. The concepts are not there. So how would you explain that to say a 6-year-old or an 8-year-old? Like if we can try to kind of think of it that way. And I know that I've again with my 8-year-old, there's some concepts that I'm like, have I ever actually learned that? Because I'm not sure how to connect the dots here. And then I have to think about it. But it goes the same way. Like when somebody speaks to me in another language, I have to, and you actually said this in one of our trainings, you're like, I have to translate it in my brain from Korean to English, every single word, but you do it
But when
really
it gets really
quickly.
abstract, not something easy, but like, yeah, very on an abstract level, yeah, like I really have to. Even making a TikTok videos, I just can't like rant, that's hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So thinking about it in that way is instead of looking at the person and saying, well, why don't you get this? Right? Step back, look at it more in a, hey, they're translating the
Mhm.
information, give them a moment, allow them to process. It's just like we would do with a child or do with somebody that maybe doesn't have, I don't want to say the education that you
It's
do
like
because
this.
that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's
No,
like
you're
this.
good.
When you talk to an Eskimo, right? And we have only one word snow, and we also have only one word in Korean, snow in Korean, right? Like noon, that's how we say. So that's it for us, one word. Eskimos have, I Googled it, it was like at least 52 different names for one word snow. So it's like when we ask native speakers, so they say, so, I want to understand why you're not understanding this. That's good discussion. But when somebody says, not everybody, but when someone keeps telling you, just immerse it, just learn it naturally. It's like when Eskimo is telling you, when you ask, hey Eskimo, so could you explain how this name is different from this? For us, it's all snow. Eskimo saying, look, you're gonna live with me, and let's just dive into the pile of snow. Just embrace it. Just learn it. And then if you live with me, you're gonna learn it. Don't worry. Don't think too much. If you keep thinking, that's not gonna help you. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You have good intention. I'm not trying to like demoralize like, native speakers or anything. There's some people who does that with ill intention, but just you have good intention, say, hey, just relax, have fun and just relax and take it easy. It doesn't really help because there's some people who want to, English is a tool for us to achieve something. People want to feel better about themselves. They want to enrich their life. People are looking for better economic opportunities. So English has to be a tool, not the end goal. And a lot of times English becomes the barrier, but then there's another barrier for anyone to acquire the language. So I'm not really talking about only the English language. It could apply to any languages. So again, I talk about the your learner's native language is the crucial role. People say, oh, if you want to learn English, don't speak Korean, only English. Of course, if you keep speaking Korean, that's not going to help you. But when people struggle, that's because their existing cognitive structure is operated by their own language. And like I said, if we don't understand fast and quick the concept, how easy it seems, our language, Korean language, kind of interrupts, in terms of like learning, acquiring the new, English. So just understand that actually learner's native language has the key to reveal learners' unique challenges. So, unlike what you've heard, you gotta really use the learner's native language as a crucial key to understand people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think this is such an important conversation because if somebody's out there and they're really truly struggling, they're like, I don't understand why I can't get this. I'm having so much trouble. I don't even want to talk to anybody. I'm not going to try to even speak the language, whatever language it happens to be. And they just shut down ultimately.
I
They're
mean, it's frustrating, if when you get mad, even fighting with your spouse, think about it. I had to fight with my ex-husband a lot. And sometimes he drags me down his dumb level. I'm sorry. I have to just be honest. And then sometimes I can say whatever, but sometimes it's like, you don't understand. And then like my word doesn't come out right. You're already frustrated. When you're mad, sometimes your words doesn't come out right. But as a foreigner, fighting with your spouse is one thing, but if you're at like DMV or all these people with the bureaucracy, working for the bureaucracy, they do really dumb things. You know what I mean? And if you're not able to express yourself clearly, like foreigners, they just get like really, really frustrated and embarrassed. So think about it. That really adds up a lot of stress, and it's just a tremendous struggles, daily life, every day. That's really hard.
Yeah. And it sounds like, I mean, the best way forward is, like you said, like have fun and be able to like try to eliminate some of that stress that you're feeling when you are learning or when you're speaking to somebody else. I know personally my brain tends to go faster than my mouth can more often than not. And so I have gotten to a place that I'm like, it's not about perfection. Whatever is meant to be said will come out. And I have those moments myself every now and again too, like the talking faster than my mouth can even go.
But
So
definitely helps to know what's the causes of your challenges. But people don't know the cause of your unique challenges. So if you know the cause of it, if you know where it's hurting and what's the problem of your illness, you can treat it. But when it comes to language, people don't know what they don't know. They don't know the causes of their unique challenges. So that's the key. And just because you speak English, don't approach people like, I have the cure, I can solve the problem. You don't know where their problems are stemming from.
yeah, absolutely. And so if somebody does want to work with you, they want to see your TEDx or they want to find one of your books, how can they do that?
I can actually, is there a way that I can drop my website name and the link to my YouTube video, the TEDx video?
Yeah, I actually did put it in the comments. So
Oh,
I
thank
put it in
you.
the comments. Yep. And what is your website just for everybody? And I'll type it
Okay.
out.
All right. So it is welcome. It's like welcome, like WELCOME, welcome. Number 2, welcome to mylighthouse.com.
And I will prop it up here. Normally, I have this already ready to go. And for some reason, I didn't tonight. So right down over
Yes.
there. So welcome to mylighthouse.com.
Oh, Kelly, I mean, I thought 40 minutes was going to be long, but I mean, it just flew by. And I was so nervous, but again, you always make me feel comfortable. There's something about you.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm just so glad that you were able to come on and share because it is a perspective. So, those of us that speak English and have spoken English since we were born, I think that sometimes we get a little judgy and we have to take a step back. We need to look at it from different perspectives. And I think that that is why this conversation was an amazing conversation. And if you are struggling, you can definitely reach out to Crystal, and she's got that secret magic skill that can help you along the way and make it maybe a little bit easier for you.
Thank you so much. And please make sure you drop comments after you watch my video. And thanks for having me again. It was great fun. And hopefully I see you again sometime soon. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
absolutely. One more time. There's her website.
Yay.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
that's
Crystal.
wonderful.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you so much.
Thank you, me too. Yeah. Have a good
Yeah.
night. Bye.
All right, y'all. That was another amazing episode of Make Mental Health Matter. Again, if you are watching this for the first time, make sure you add it into your favorites list so that you don't miss another episode. I am wearing, I don't know if I've worn this yet, but this is our, it was our Climb for Your Mind hoodie because it's cold in Colorado. It is snowing today. So this was the sweatshirt that I wore on the mountain for the 29029 Everesting Challenge. These are the names of people that have passed to suicide or other challenges, and I was lucky enough to wear their names in honor of their life, in celebration of their life, while I was on the mountain on the 29029 Everesting Challenge, and I just felt like wearing it today. So I will give you more information if you missed the very first part of this. I'll give you more information as to what I'm doing coming up in the new year. I will be staying on Mondays. I just am not sure the exact time yet, but that is okay. Going down to 1 show per week versus 2 shows per week, and I will fill you in on all the information. But either, no matter what you do, come back next Monday. I'm pretty sure I have a guest that day. I don't know. Like, just like I tell my husband, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing today, tomorrow. I just figure it out as I go. It's not about perfection. It's just about getting the information out. And if you need more information, more resources, go to bccevolution.org. I just added a whole bunch of resources on our trusted resource hub. We have professionals, we have free resources. I'm about to add products and books and life skills, and there's probably every single category that you can possibly imagine. I am filling it out as I go. There are also crisis and non-crisis resources on there. So whatever you need help with, you can always reach out to me and I can get you connected to somebody, or I will at least do my very best to connect you. But that's what this show is all about. My show in general, Make Mental Health Matter, is bringing you resources and information that maybe you didn't know about prior. And that's why I had Crystal come on too. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on Monday. Good night, y'all.